I'm not gonna be like, ooh, family name, like I'm from an anime or something, but I'm gonna say her full ass name, and family name comes first because I'm smart. So I said that, and she turned around and she's like, yeah, and it's like she doesn't even know who I am, and um, I said, oh, I'm actually the vice chairperson of script writing club, and she's like, oh, and she's like, oh, can I have your name? And I said, oh, Enoch, and she's like, oh, okay, which is nice, you know. Um, and then I guess, oh yeah, and then I talked to him. I talked to her about, oh, Thomas, um, are you planning to make your short film? Because Thomas is also making it, and the original idea is, Thomas and Aika would film on the same day. So I said, oh, were you gonna make a short film? And she's like, oh yeah, It's funny because at first, in the class, in the first part, Aika raised her hand and asked the professor if she could share her own script to the class. And it's funny because that is exactly what Thomas is doing right now, out of pure desperation, because he doesn't have time and he doesn't have the help. So he's straight up asking the professor for help, and hopefully the class can like help her do it or help Thomas do it. So Ika is literally doing the same thing, and I can immediately see through it. I know what's up, man. But yeah, that basically is what happened. And yeah, so that's that. I don't want to like chase after her and continue to speak to her because it's weird because this is our actual first in-person conversation and third time we've seen each other in person. Um, so that's that, and then we did the group thing. So in film 31, I think in the third week or fourth week, we all sort of pushed the seats aside and we all said, oh, one, and then the next person said two and three and four and five and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then based on the number we will form groups. So obviously, given that I and Christian and Eric and Pepper and Andy and Aika were all standing side by side at that point, so I couldn't really end up with anyone in that group. But of course, if you have a brain, you would know that me, Pepper, Christian, Eric, Aika, Andy are 6 people, which means that one of which will have to end up because there are 5 groups and we're all standing next to each other, so we're all split apart. So I ended up being the same group with Andy, the Mexican girl, and that is when I realized, holy shit, she's the small Mexican girl. And then aside from us, there's a big black dude. At first, I thought, man, he looks like Patrick because he's also bald, but he's not. And a tall white guy who looks like with glasses. He looks like Lawai86, the YouTuber who talked about China a lot, which is very funny. But yeah, it turns out it's us 4, so you know. And everyone else is just split apart. So Aika ended up sort of alone. Eric ended up being with David. Aika ended up with Yulia. And Pepper ended up with someone else. But given that I already know a bunch of people in the class, it's like, however you try to split me up, I will somehow run into someone I know. So, I've won. I've won the game, Oh my god. So, we did the thing. We got the tripod, set it up, we built the camera, put it on our board, and we set up everything: the handle, the viewfinder, the lens, the barn doors, everything, the focus puller, and then we unbuilt the whole thing. And it was sort of fun. And I realized I was really comfortable around people suddenly. It's scary. Holy shit. I don't even recognize myself anymore. Because, okay, this black guy and this white guy was also in my team. I don't know them. But, and they are both more social than me. But I would say things like, oh, let's try this. Oh, by the way, here's a screw. Oh, I think we set it up the wrong way. Oh, which is the pan, which is the tilt. Like, I would actually say things. Instead, Andy, the Mexican girl, she's just standing at the side, just being a bystander the whole time. And Aika, who's right beside me in the other neighboring team, she's also a bystander almost the whole time. She's just awkwardly, shyly standing at the side, which is hilarious. But also a good sign. Again, she isn't the fake, oh my god, that's crazy. She's legit. She is legit. Okay? She's not, oh my god, that's crazy. She's not a Californian. She's not Californicized. That is a good thing, man. That's a good indication. Okay. So we did the whole thing. And then we unbuilt the whole camera setup. And then we, and then even afterwards, we still have about half an hour. So the Kazakh, it's funny. Now that Christian and Andy can speak to each other in Mexican Spanish, I and Pepper can speak to each other in Cantonese. There are 2 Russian girls in the class, Liana and Yulia. And on top of that, the Kazakh man, who's a teacher assistant type guy, he probably can speak Russian as well. I don't know, actually. He can speak Kazakh, but probably also Russian. I don't know. But anyways, he set up the lights, and he basically taught us a little bit about the lights, which I've already seen before, because Film 31. And that's it. That's all. So at the very, very end, we decided to pick up, not we decided, Professor Simone, he was like, okay, here are a bunch of handouts. I put it on a bunch of chairs. Take them, and then you can leave. So we picked up the handouts, and again, Pepper's in front of me, and Aika's there, and I thought, okay, right now it's another very good opportunity for me to speak to Aika. And I did not, because I'm smart. If I suddenly speak to Aika again, Aika would notice, okay, this guy's being a little creepy now, he's speaking to me too much. So I did not. I waited again, which is again, scary, because, looking back to October 24th of 2019, when I saw Mary and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to talk to her now. I'm going to wait. And then every single time I see her, I say the same thing, and then she stops showing up, and I regret everything. And I don't want that to be a repeat. But that's not going to happen, because now that Aika's in my class, I'm pretty sure I will be seeing her every Wednesday. Even if I don't speak to her at all today, I can still speak to her next Wednesday. But if I can do it today, of course, that would be great. Okay, so we got the handouts and we're all leaving. So I asked Pepper, like, okay, are you going to take a bus back home now? And Pepper's like, no, I'm actually going to go to Koreatown. Because I thought, okay, maybe Pepper and I can take different buses to here every morning, on every Wednesday mornings, but maybe we can still continue to hang out a bit more and go back home on the same bus. I mean, we live nearby, but not near enough for us to take the exact same bus. Unlike Thomas, I and Thomas can take the same exact bus. Even though we don't live nearby, but it's the same bus route. So I thought maybe I can coordinate this with Pepper. Like, maybe I could take Pepper's bus and then I could walk back home. Maybe that works. I don't know. But yeah, at the end, Pepper just left with Andy, and then Pepper left herself, and I said goodbye to her. And then I followed Christian and Eric. So Eric apparently is taking online classes, but the only other in-person class he's taking is Film 30, and it takes place in person in the same campus also today from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., which means that after the class, Eric will have to wait for about half an hour and then his class starts again, which is pure suffering. I feel really bad for him. So Eric stayed behind and Christian's gonna go home. Christian's super tired. And I was like looking back, like, man, I still have things I need to say to Aika. Like, at least give me an opportunity for me to get her Instagram right before I leave, please. So at the end, the opportunity presents itself. Okay, I'm gonna stand again. So at the end, the opportunity presents itself. Essentially, I and Eric and Christian, we were just standing there chilling. I saw a poster with Simplified Chinese on it, and I was like, "What the fuck? Get it out of there!" But you know, I was joking around, and then I asked Christian, like, "What are we gonna do? Chill right now?" And they're like, "Yeah, you know." And Eric started to walk backwards. So we were at the entrance of the campus, at the main entrance. And we were gonna just like stand there. But Eric started to go back to the center of the campus, which is where Aika is at. Because when we left, Aika went straight to the professor to ask him something. And then I was like, oh, this is the opportunity. What if we go back, and as we go back, Aika comes out and we pass by, and I speak to Aika more. And that exactly happened. That happened exactly how I wanted it to go down. That happened exactly 100% the way I wanted it to go down. Exactly the right spot. Aika passes by me, and I just approach her. I was like, oh, by the way, one question. On July 3rd, did you watch fireworks? And I was a little worried because of the hair thing. Again, I saw a blonde girl on that day, but I didn't see any green, bluish, dyes. So she either added that after I saw her at the fireworks, or I just didn't see it on the day I saw her. Maybe it isn't even her. So I asked her, on July 3rd, did you go to see the fireworks? And she's like, oh, July 3rd? And then she thought for a little while. Oh, yeah. And she wasn't surprised that I know for some reason. And I said, oh, I saw you there. And again, she wasn't surprised or anything. She's like, oh. And I was like, and she did ask me though, like, how did you recognize me? By my hair? And I was like, yeah. Also by her face, but when she passed by me, when I saw her hair, I was already like, okay, come on, that's Aika. So he's like, oh, okay. And I asked her if she recognized me, and she said no. Because it's the first time she saw me in person. But I said, oh, I did turn on my camera once in the Zoom meeting. And she's like, oh, right. And then I and Eric and Christian and Aika ended up standing together, and we talked a little more. And Christian's like, hi, I'm Christian. Eric's like, hi, I'm Eric. And Aika's like, hi, I'm Aika. She's introducing herself with her own given name. Which is, again, like, not something alien to me, because in Hong Kong we also use our given names, but in Japan they probably don't. I don't even know. But yeah, that's that. And then we talked a little more, and we continued to talk a little bit more about oh yeah, I asked Aika out of the blue, where exactly are you from in Japan? And I honestly thought she's going to say either Tokyo or Osaka or something like that, or maybe Kyoto, the big cities. And she said she's from Hokkaido, which is surprising answer. So I've known a few Japanese people already. So the first Japanese person, my roommate, not really roommate, like the girl across the room in the second host, I don't know. There's a Japanese girl from the first week of Film 40 who's from the Gunma prefecture, who disappeared after first week. There's and she's very fluent in English, so expect her to be, yes, Japanese, but also very much soaked in Americanness, especially given the fact that she went to an international school. Yes. There's the Tokyo guy who ended up living in the same Airbnb as I am in. And then there's Ahana, who I don't even know if she's like ABJ, like American born Japanese, or first gen. I have no idea. And then there's Aika, who's apparently from Hokkaido. Damn. So I was like, what? And so yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. And then we continue to talk a little bit more about transfer and short films. Again, I mentioned Thomas, like, maybe so when are you gonna shoot your short film? Is it still the same day with Thomas? Because Thomas wants to shoot this weekend. And Aika's like, no. And that's, yeah, I wish I could see her, but honestly, I already did it. Like, I already spoke to her. She's already in my class. I've already won the game. The gamble, I've won. And then she said, and I said, oh, is that short film for USC? And then she said, yeah, but I need to figure out a way to narrow it down to 5 minutes because right now the script is 9 pages. Bro, same, man, same. My cloud busting short film is at 10 minutes right now, and it's probably gonna exceed it. Bro, same. And then when I asked Aika where she's from exactly, she also asked me where I am from, and even though I speak English super fluently, I said I'm from Hong Kong, and that's how I know Pepper. And she's like, oh. And I asked Aika how did she meet Pepper. Turns out it's from this cultural exchange event, because both Pepper and Aika also went to LA for fall last year. And right off there and then there's this cultural exchange program, and both Aika and Pepper joined it, and that's how they met. But they weren't close or anything. But they know each other. They know of each other and they follow each other on Instagram. So that's really cool. And then at the end, the magical moment, Aika asked me if I have Instagram. I didn't even need to ask her. She asked me first. Dude, she asked me first. I'm just too good at this game. So she's like, oh, by the way, do you have Instagram? And she said it so naturally. And I'm like, oh, yeah, sure. And then she just showed me her Instagram. To be fair, I've seen it already because, again, Instagram does this, suggestions thing, which is stupid. But I've already seen it. So I don't want to type her name and then her name would immediately pop out on my phone. So I'm like, oh, can I just type in your phone? So I just typed in my name and followed myself. So yeah, that's great. And then she's like, oh, I need to go, bye. So she left. So exactly according to the plan. She ended up in my class. I ended up speaking to her. And I ended up getting her Instagram. And she asked first. And on top of that, Eric ended up here. David ended up here. And holy hell. I am popping off. I'm popping off so hard, man. So that's it. And then afterwards, Eric just walked away and decided to sunbathe. He lied down or something. Not on the floor, but on the fountain. There's a small bench. And then Christian's like, you know what? I'm gonna head out. And I said, oh, I'm gonna head out with you. So Christian went to the car park and drove away. And I walked to the bus station and came back home. And yeah, it's been a whole hour since. But holy shit. What an insane day. What an insane day, okay? Not insane. I wouldn't say it's as insane as HKOS. HKOS legitimately feels like surreal. But today's all according to plan, all according to Keikaku, okay? All according to plan. Just everything fell at the exact right place. I got to eat lunch with people, and not only by myself, not by myself, but with people. So I genuinely felt almost a sense of nostalgia, like back in the school days when I followed Bean Gang to, the Taiwanese restaurant, or to the Yiho, like it almost felt like that. So there's that. So aside from Aika, there's that. Also, I just formed a clique. So Film 32 class, literally the first fucking day, and groups of 2 teams have already sort of formed. So of course, there's a team of men, of mostly white men, and they're sort of big, and they're like film bros, and they know each other already, because apparently they were in the Thursday Film 31 last semester. So right off the bat, they already knew each other, and they stood together and they chatted and laughed. But I formed another team because I know Christian and Eric. I know Pepper. Pepper knows Andy. I formed another team, and that's it. And then Aika may even join us, because again, we're the only Asians with Pepper. But also, like, when Aika was sitting at her seat at the other side of the classroom, she's completely alone. She's completely friggin' alone. Like, she doesn't really speak to the people around her all that much. But given that she sorta knows Pepper, and now that she has spoken to me and has my IG, she didn't even ask Christian for his IG. She asked for mine. Dude. Bro. Right? She's probably gonna sit, even if she doesn't sit beside us, like, we will get along in the next 16 weeks. And it just goes all according to my plan. And again, I went into school today with pretty low expectations. I mean, I know probably I'll meet some interesting people, and I know this class will be interesting, but I did not expect it to go this well. This is one of the rare moments in my life where it actually goes according to plan, and it actually pans out perfectly, without fail at all. And I didn't talk much about like what happened between Eric and Christian and Pepper, which is weird, but it also doesn't feel weird because I see them all as, they're all from the LA world, right? And they all, when they speak to each other, they say basic things like, "Oh, are you a film major? Do you plan to transfer? Blah 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 blah." But I know them already. Fuck, I'm so powerful. And even like during the later bits of the class, when the Kazakh man was setting up the lights, Eric would walk up to me and say a couple things to me. Christian would walk up to me and say, "Oh, how's the class so far?" I'm so fucking popular. Of course, I'm not like super popular, but I'm already popular enough to be like, this isn't me. This is not me. This is not me. Why? How am I doing so well socially? What the fuck's wrong with me? Like 3 years ago, I would never be able to achieve that. So yeah, truly a fantastic day. I can't wait to celebrate. I have more acne on my face, by the way, which is so annoying. But I'm gonna shave. I'm gonna shave. Right? I'm gonna leave the mustache, and then for a couple more weeks, I will shave it all. Basically, just fuck it all, Yeah. So there's that. I'm so happy I switched from Friday to Wednesday, and holy shit. 50-50. Had I stayed on Friday, Aika's gone, Christian's gone, Eric's gone, Pepper's gone. I would be left with literally nothing but Thomas. And then Thomas would just hackle me during breaks. And Thomas is sort of a nice dude, I guess. I can get along with him. But if Thomas only speaks to me, then he would dominate my entire social life. I'm so glad I switched. Me switching is one of the greatest decisions I've made. Not even decisions, it's a gamble because I literally do not know who will end up in my class. Literal gamble, and it's one of the greatest and luckiest gambles I've made in my life. And I don't know who to thank for this. I guess luck. But this is legitimately one of the greatest gambles I've made in my life, and it's panned out. It's so well. It's unbelievable. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. I texted the Chinese boss lady again. So Pepper's gonna continue working. I'm also going to. I texted the Chinese boss lady again. Hopefully she replies. Hopefully I get to see Hana. Keep the train rolling. So right now, as of now, this is my first week of school, and as far as IGs, I've gained 5. 5 in the first week? I am a fucking monster, okay? Obviously, if I was Kingsley, I would get thousands, right? If I was Natalie, I would get hundreds, right? I'm not. But the fact that I'm able to get 5 IGs, or actually 4, but 5 contacts the first week, and 0 out of the 5 contacts are asked by me. Like, I didn't ask them. They all asked me first. Aika asked me first. So yeah, that's that. And Aika didn't even ask Christian for his Instagram. Man. And to be fair, again, Christian's more disconnected from her. I am very much somehow connected to Aika via Pepper, via Scriptwriting Club, via freaking Macanese guy. And Aika herself probably doesn't even know that there's a Macanese connection. What in the actual James? This is insane. And I'll celebrate it. I will have a fat night's sleep. I'll eat good food tomorrow. I'll enjoy myself. I'll drink all the milk tea here, and I shall celebrate.